called Call Protect. Definitely leverage those functionalities to block unknown callers because they're doing call campaigns that are malicious and scams. So you want to make sure that you're blocking those. There are other free softwares that you can install on your phone too, depending on the provider that you use. Make sure with your mobile providers you have what's called a PIN code set up. So you set up a PIN code on your account, like AT&T for example. So if you call AT&T, you want to make sure that they ask you for a unique PIN code. Don't reuse that code anywhere else. Make sure it's unique. Use a password manager if you can, such as RoboForm. Try to use a token or what's called a YubiKey or some type of hardware token like a gatekeeper token. That'll also help you raise your password security. Definitely use unique and different long complex passwords on different websites. I recommend leveraging what's called Keystroke Encryption, which is a patented solution that stops keylogger malware. That's very powerful. Backup, backup, backup. I don't think that they're isolating or certainly targeting civilians. I do think that they're going to do blanket attacks, which means that they're going to scan for low-hanging fruit. So that's why we need to be vigilant. We need to really take cybersecurity seriously and up our defenses. There's new patented technology called XDR. That's very powerful at mitigating and stopping adversarial threats, especially if you have a business or a home with a lot of devices. Definitely that's a great technology to leverage nowadays. Obviously training yourself, making sure that you stay in tune with all the latest threats, and make sure you train if you have a business, your employees. Training is so essential. Not just training, but actually drilling and testing is super essential these days. You've probably heard of Robo Calls, right? We all hate them. It's going to be, mass campaigns like that. I don't know if they're specifically going to do that, but those are definitely effective methods of mass distribution of malware and different, bad files and data destruction. There could be a couple different motives. If they infect with some type of zero-day malware, which zero-day means it's not known or detectable, so it'll get into your system and it could just stay dormant for a while. And if they want to do like a distributed denial of service or a DDoS attack against maybe a big player like Amazon or Google, for example, and they basically have all these slave computers all ready to go, and then they just push a button and then they all attack, at one time. So that's what's called a DDoS attack. So that could be a motive. Another motive that's common these days is ransomware, extortion, locking up, obviously we have a lot of pictures and different data, right? And they want that data, and that data is typically important to us. So they're going to try to ask for some type of extortion to lock up your stuff. So that's why it's really important to back up and test your backups, make sure you're not relying on one vendor. Try to use cold backups too, so which means they're not always connected to a computer on the internet. That would be good to have extra layers of backup like that as well. Until multi-layered cybersecurity is not only adopted and becoming more mainstream, but also testing, penetration testing, security risk assessments, until those drills are normal and on every day, not necessarily doing them every day, but the drills at least done quarterly for a business, the scanning, leveraging technologies, like I said, like XDR, until all those layers, those powerful layers are adopted by the masses, this stuff's just going to continue to happen. I mean, there's just mass issues with SCADA and power grid and, like you mentioned with the Colonial Pipeline, there's just so many vulnerabilities there. There's just not enough skilled talent to fix it all and do it overnight. It's just a huge undertaking, and that work needs to get done faster. I mean, the alarms are there, right? I mean, it's just, we've already experienced the pain of the Colonial attack. You have to do the improvements now. You can't wait. I mean, the writing's on the wall. Not at an SMS or a texting level, it's not good. It's too susceptible to man-in-the-middle attacks. You have to up the ante with what's called Authenticator, which is just a setting, typically, especially on a major website like Facebook or Google or something like that. But it's so much more powerful than SMS text-based Authenticate. And they, bad actors like to take over your phones. They like to take over, get a new SIM card mailed to them and impersonate you, steal your identity, wipe out your bank accounts. And, that all is real. That all happens. It's happening every day and more so. And that's why you just can't wait to do any of this stuff anymore. I feel that more steps in the right direction need to be happening faster. I mean, Biden signed that executive order around cyber It was, again, a step in the right direction, but in my opinion, not enough. We need to really increase our stance on cyber and really up the bar, not just at an individual level or a civilian level, but at a business level. I mean, there's so many businesses I talk to every day that have little to nothing in place. I mean, they still sadly think a firewall and antivirus is enough, and those days are long, long gone. Interrupt our power, interrupt our gas. I mean, we're already seeing record gas prices right now. I mean, very easy to have another Colonial Pipeline type attack if we don't really take this seriously right now.